Oh man, I can't wait to share my new book with you. It's fantastic. So every day I go in the morning, I go to Starbucks or a local coffee shop or Dunkin'. I like this one Starbucks because they got a table that I just like to sit at. It's very comfortable, and they give you refills. A lot of times I don't actually get the refill, but oh my goodness. So I'm using my man Daniel Kuhlebert's 55e.co and then Craig Israelson's 712 portfolio retirement analyzer. What's it called? Retirement analyzer or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Dude, they got some good looking ladies at this Starbucks. Let me tell you, this is in a wealthy part of town, and they got some good looking ladies here. It's funny because the Dunkin' I go to is very blue collar, and it's a lot of Spanish people, a lot of Indians. And this Starbucks right here is the exact opposite. It's funny. Anyway, dude, I'm just so excited. It's so all right. So let's go into putting this on up and down. A, I forgot to put on landscape, but B, landscape makes me look fat. Landscape puts 10 pounds on my old face. I don't need someone to put 10 pounds. I want to look like a good-looking Joshy. Because look, basically, there's very, very few ladies on my channel. There's a couple, but not that many. All right, so you got to be good looking to get the ladies, right? So you don't want to look like you're fat, or else the lady's like, I'm clicking off, I'm going to go to Money Talk with Aaron or something like that, whatever that chick's name is. And she seems like a pleasant lady. I don't know anything about her, but she got white teeth, unlike my pearly whites. And she's a young looking lady. So she's appealing to the men. Well, men got to appeal to the ladies, right? Anyway, all right, so now I'm saying, okay, so I ran the numbers on a 30-year retirement, and I'm doing all these various scenarios. I'm doing a 4% rule with the S&P 500, 4% rule with the Wellesley Fund, 4% rule with the Wellington Fund. Then I'm doing a 4% rule with 2 years of cash, 4% rule with 4 years of cash. Not rebalancing, just basically the good old-fashioned barbell strategy, all right? And then I'm doing but because Wellesley only goes back to 1970, if I want to go back further, I gotta get rid of Wellesley and just use the Wellington as kind of like a proxy for a 65-35 stock to bond portfolio and the S&P 500. So I'm going back to 1930, running 30-year retirement scenarios. I get with all these different scenarios. All right, so we got 30-year retirement plans. S&P 500, 4%. S&P 500, 4% with 2 years of cash. S&P 500, 4% with 4 years of cash. And the Wellington with the same. 4% means they're adjusting each year with inflation. Not a random 3% inflation, but the inflation that was the CPI for that year. And I cannot stress enough how many people screw this up. You can't just use a freaking fixed inflation rate. I mean, you can. I do as going forward. I mean, I get it. You have to in a retirement scenarios. But it's not good. I mean, because there are many years, the 3% inflation is way above what it was. And many years it was way below. It's one of my pet peeves about financial planning software is that the inflation rate is fixed, in terms of projecting. There's no Monte Carlo for inflation. Drives me up the wall. And as much as people say it's not that big of a deal, it is a big deal. It is, because I've gotten discussions, when they stupid advisor perspectives freaking pissing me off, dude. They used to allow discussions, and I got to know so many good guys in the chat board of advisor perspectives, Joe Tomlinson, and just so many guys, and it was fun. I learned so much from these guys. There are a couple big lives in there, but it was a good chat. I'd kind of go in there, troll people in my normal way. When I say troll people, it's just funny. I'm not like, oh, you idiot. No, I never do that. I never do that. But just basically saying, because some people talk stupid stuff, and I go in there and flame them like, oh, so inflation is definitely going to come now because of the M2 supply, right? And I know it's just fun to do that. And people say, and they'll go back with all the academic studies. I said, okay, but let's look at the reality. It was fun to do that. And I'm not a big troll, frankly. I'm not a guy who goes and flames people. But it'll be fun for the liberal arguments about various things, and even the monetarist arguments too, to say, to just kind of flame people and to get them to challenge me. To get him to challenge me, because my issue is I like to learn, but I want to see the evidence of these prognostications. I need to see it. Just because someone says inflation is inevitable because of tariffs, inflation is inevitable because of spending, blah blah blah. Well, where's the evidence of this? if it doesn't exist or the evidence is sketchy, then you can't make the assumption that because X equals Y. I hate that stuff. I can't stand it. I go back to my man Richard Vague's book, the Theory of Debt, the Problem with Debt. I forgot what it's called. I interviewed Richard Vague. Richard Vague's a big lib. He lives in Philadelphia. But he wrote, what the hell is it called? The Theory of Debt or the Problem of Debt. And he had just this great book where he's saying, of all the times M2 went up 30% or whatever it was, we had inflation 20% of the time. Or something. I'm just throwing that number out there. But it's like, man, anyway. And people, Richard Vague's a big lib. I said, okay, is he wrong? Is he wrong? And the the left-wing people say, freaking whatever. Scalen's a big righty. Okay, am I wrong? Just using that for example. Anyway, so going back, so you can't just, you can, you have to in terms of financial planning projections going forward because you don't have a Monte Carlo for inflation. But be it as it may, I'm using the real data with Israelson's stuff and then Daniel Kuhlberg's stuff saying what was the actual inflation during this specific time frame. Not a 3% fix, but the actual inflation, all right? So again, back testing is scary in a regard because what happened in the past isn't going to happen in the future. But it still shows you what happened with a 30-year retirement using a 4% rule adjusted each in the year with the actual inflation of that time. But then, all right, so I used to like the reverse RMD thing. I don't want to give away the plot here, whatever it's called, spoiler alert. The reverse RMD thing did not work out the way I anticipated. It kind of frustrated me. So I like my 8% strategy. So basically 8% a year of the previous year's portfolio balance is what we're doing here. 8% of the previous year portfolio balance, all right? That guy still has his University of Florida. We got a friend back there. So in the South, what happens there is they put these little signs. Let's see if you can see this one right here. I don't know if you can see that. See that? Congratulations, class of 2025, and they show where they're going to college. And our friend lives over there, and he was going to go to the University of Florida, but he's since changed to go to the University of Georgia. He was waitlisted, and then UGA let him in. And it'd be crazy not to go to the University of Georgia if you live in Georgia because it's free, essentially. You got to still pay for room and board, but you don't pay tuition. All right, so 4% rule each and every year, adjust with inflation, 2 years cash, no cash, and then 4 years cash. And then I'm going 8% of the previous year's balance, 8%, 2 years cash, 8%, 4 years cash. And it's just so fun, dude. Oh man, that's for 30 years. All right, now I'm gonna go down to 20 years. I don't know if I'm gonna do 25. I probably won't do 25. That's a little bit overkill in my opinion, because it does take a long time to crunch these numbers. But I can go down to 20 years because the likelihood, again, of you living 30 years in retirement is quite small. Now, that doesn't mean you won't. That doesn't mean you shouldn't plan for it. But that'd be a plan for a contingency as opposed to a plan for a definitive. And so now I'm going to 20 years. And at that point, once I get these numbers done, I am done with my research. Now I got freaking, 150 pages so far, and I haven't edited, I haven't done anything yet. It's just, dude, it's so freaking awesome. I love it. It's fun to do. Drinking coffee, you know what I'm saying, sitting around, joking and smoking and doing this research on this. It's a blast. And I hope, be honest, I'm hoping I'll be done here in the next month because I'm basically almost done my research. Of course, every time I say that, then I say, well, let me try this strategy instead. And that strategy leads me to another strategy. But I think I have a pretty good feeling that this is it. And I just can't wait to share it with you. All right, God bless. Love your thoughts. Smash that like button and don't be a sucker and vote for Biden. We'll see you.